ice floats. And because of that, life exists. But it shouldn't. In almost every substance on Earth, cooling means shrinking. But water does the opposite. And because of that, life is possible. Envision a winter lake. Its surface freezes into ice, while fish continue to swim below. But why does ice float? Consider oil on water. Oil is less dense than water, so it rises to the surface. Density is the ratio of mass to volume, and less dense substances float, while denser ones sink. Drop a piece of lead into water, and it sinks immediately. It descends straight down, pulled by its own weight. This observation is already reflected in the Torah. In the song At the Sea of Reeds, the Red Sea, it says, "You blew with your wind, the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters." Exodus 15:10. The image is precise. Lead represents something heavy, dense, incapable of floating. It does not resist sinking. It does not remain above. It goes down. It follows a simple law. What is heavier sinks. So what determines density? All matter is made of tiny particles, atoms, and molecules, constantly in motion. When temperature rises, they move faster, spread out, and take up more space. That is why gases expand so dramatically. When temperature drops, the opposite happens. Particles slow down, draw closer together, and the substance contracts and becomes denser. This is what happens in most materials. But water behaves differently, in a remarkable and paradoxical way. As it begins to cool, water becomes denser, like any other substance. At 10 degrees, its density is about 0.9997 grams per cube centimeter. At 5 degrees, it rises slightly to about 0.999996. At around 4 degrees Celsius, water reaches its maximum density, exactly 1 gram per cubic centimeter, its most compact state. But below this point, everything changes. Instead of continuing to become denser, its molecules begin to reorganize, and water begins to expand. As it approaches 0 degrees, its molecules arrange into a rigid, open lattice, one that holds them farther apart, not closer. At 0 degrees, just before freezing, density drops slightly. And when it freezes, it drops dramatically to about 0.917. This makes ice roughly 9% less dense than liquid water. Why? Because the molecules are now locked into that open structure, held farther apart than they were in liquid form. So instead of contracting, as almost every other substance does, water expands. Its density decreases. That is why ice floats. And that changes everything. Because ice floats, it forms a thermal blanket over the surface of lakes and rivers, trapping the warmth of the liquid water beneath and shielding it from the cold above. And since liquid water is densest at 4 degrees Celsius, that heavier, relatively warmer water sinks to the bottom, creating a stable, liquid sanctuary where fish and plants can survive even the harshest winter. If it did not, each newly formed layer of ice on a lake would sink, piling up one after the other. Lakes would freeze from the bottom up. Entire bodies of water would solidify. Aquatic life would perish. Birds, mammals, every creature that depends on these ecosystems would follow. The food chain would collapse. And yet, this does not happen. Because ice expands, becomes lighter, and floats, a protective layer forms on the surface, insulating the water below and preserving life through winter. In this physical anomaly, one can truly see the finger of God, Exodus 8:15, quietly preserving not only the life beneath the ice, but the balance of the entire system. Without this, life collapses. But ice is only part of the picture. To understand the full lesson, we must first look at water in its liquid form, at what it is by nature. Because in its qualities, there is a portrait, and in that portrait, a mirror. Water has no color of its own. It has no taste, no odor. It takes on no fixed shape. It becomes whatever contains it. It is transparent. Light passes through it freely, and what lies within is fully visible. Place it on a slope, and it will not rest until it has reached the lowest point. These are not incidental properties. Taken together, they form a portrait. Water does not impose itself. It does not draw attention to itself. It creates no illusion. What is inside is what is seen. It takes on the color, the taste, the form of whatever it encounters. And it always seeks what is lowest, never what is elevated. Water does not claim space for itself, and because of that, it makes space possible. It leaves room. It allows things to grow. It creates the conditions for life. Everything can exist within it, because it does not insist on being something first. That is its strength. Now we know what ice and water are. In Part 2, we will explore what they teach. Part 3, what they demand of us. The anomaly was just the beginning.